This is the finished lap steel. I'd call this a prototype because it's not very pretty, but it's functional. I mean, everything works. So I've got the 6 strings here. I bought the bridge. This is a guitar bridge, a standard guitar bridge. But the nice thing about this bridge is it allows you don't have to drill through the wood to thread the strings through. The strings come in through the back, which is nice. So they come through the back, then they come up through this little device here and over the top. So it's a bridge as well as a saddle, I think they call them. So and then I've got the pickup. That's all screwed in now. And on the side, I've got a couple of passive controls, volume control and a tone control, and the input jack. So it's all sitting on the top there, so it means you can't knock any of the volumes because they're on the top. Here we've got the nut. Now the nut is just a piece of aluminium angle that I bought from B&Q, so that's really nice and easy. I was going to order one, but the amount of time I'm waiting for stuff, I thought I might as well just use that. So I got that, and I just filed out some slots for the strings, because what you have to do is you have to make sure the strings are all level. Now, of course, this big fat string at the top here, this is the low note, so it's a big fat string, and that will sit lower down so that I can make sure that they're all the same height. Otherwise you end up with some strings higher up than others. Well, these fat ones will be much higher, so you have to just file that down a bit further than the others. So once I've done that, these now are all level, and then of course I just put in some machine heads here. So these are the machine heads, so there's 6 of those. I ordered those, but I waited so long. In the end, this weekend I decided not to wait any longer. I just went and bought some new ones. So you could do it much cheaper by waiting for the ones to come in from China, but I thought, okay, I'll just go and buy some new ones. So I've got another 6 coming, but they haven't arrived yet. But I went out and bought these anyway, just so I could get this going. Now, the hardest bit with this was actually the hardest bit I found so far in building this was not so much the build, was like trying to figure out how to tune it, because don't have any musical knowledge as such. So I spent the last few weeks learning a little bit about music theory, not a lot. So a few weeks ago I didn't know anything at all. So what I've done is I've been able to tune this. Now, anyone who's a musician, probably this will make a bit more sense, but anyone else will be like I was 3 weeks ago and it won't make any sense, but I'll say it anyway. So what I've done is I've tuned this into what's called an open G tuning. The notes for open G are D, G, D, and this is D an octave higher than this D. So it goes D, G, D, octave higher, and then G, another octave higher than that previous G, and then B, which is the only letter that's different out of this lot, and then again D. So you've got 3 Ds in here. You've got that D as the lowest, that D another octave up, and the very thin string down here. So I've tuned all those in. So this is just how it sounds without plugging anything in. So this is a D, this is the low D. And if you're a musician, you've got one of those electronic tuners, you can stick it up to your PC. You should see that that's a D, yeah? Do it again. So that's the low D. So I've tuned that in alright. And then the next one is the G. So that's a G. The next note in this open G tuning is D again. So it's the D, the octave up. So that's the same as that D, but an octave up. So that's an octave up from that one. And then the next note in this open G tuning is G again. So this is another G. It's an octave up from that G. So that G there, this next note is an octave up from that one. So you can see they're very similar sounding. So that's that one. Then second to last we've got B, which is the only note that's different from all of them, and that sounds like this. That's B. And then finally we got the 3rd octave higher on the D, so this is a higher D. So that's a D, like that's a D, and like that's a D. They're all Ds. So that's called open G tuning. Picking those particular notes gives you a chord without having to press any strings, and the chord it gives you is the G chord. So if I pluck all these, I'll get a G chord basically without having to touch anything else. So this is how it sounds. So that's the chord of G in what's called the scale of G major. In G major, this is the chord of G. So anyway, the only reason I've tuned this to open G is I bought a book, a lap steel book, and the first couple of pages say, oh right, first off, let's tune it to open G. So I'm just following the book basically. So that's the reason. I've not picked open G for any other reason other than that. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. So let's see what it sounds like when we plug it into the amp. So I've got the amplifier all switched on and ready to go. Now it's plugged in, I can show you the volume controls. So let's play it without any volume. Now I'll pluck it and then turn the volume up so you can see what happens. Right, now we got some volume. That's what it sounds like with amplification. So let's go through those notes again. We got D, and then we got G, and then we got another D, and then we got the next higher G, and then the B, and then the D, the highest D. That's all the notes. So that would be learning my my new musical skills. That would be I think you'd call that a melody, yeah. That's just playing through all of the notes in that open G tuning. Now we can play that as a chord, as a harmony, as one big chord by just plucking the whole lot. I've got a tone control here as well, so let's see what that does. So you see that's with the treble cut. Anyway, because I've tuned all the notes in, you can tell that if someone could play it, it would sound okay. I can't really play it, but I think there's a couple of chords that you can do, like in G major. There's you can do the chord of C and the chord of D, because again with this open G tuning, then you can just put your bar right over the 5, and you get the chord of C. So if I put my bar over there and pluck it, I'll get a C chord. So let's just try that. That's C. And now I can do the same thing with the chord of D. Now the chord of D is on the 7th fret in this tuning. So if I just hold that on the 7th fret, then I'll get the D chord. So that's the D chord. I'm going from, basically what I'm doing there is I'm going from, I think it's C sharp to C, and then I'm going to D, yeah, so. anyway, enough of that noise. So anyway, yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, how that works. Works a lot better than I thought. The amp is a bit noisy. I think the batteries are running low on that, so it's sort of getting a bit sort of noisy. But yeah, that's it. Sounds pretty good without any amplification, actually. I mean, without any amp, you could just play it. Sounds quite cool. There's a lot of sort of weird bouncing noises. I mean, maybe that's because I'm using this aluminium thing. Maybe I need to use something better than that. So I can hear a lot of vibration. So the strings are probably vibrating on this aluminium plate here. But yeah, you need someone who can play it really to test it out. So there you go. That's it. Finished. So that's what I call prototype 1. The next, I'll probably do another one, which will be a bit smarter than this. But now I've done this, I've got all the measurements and I've got all, you know, I know exactly how to do it. So the next one will be a lot better, a lot more attractive. This was really just a mock-up to see if it would work, and yeah, it works okay. So I'm quite pleased with that. So that's it completed now. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next video. Yeah.